What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. We are on day 28 of 32 teams in 32 days, and we are starting the last division of the tour, which is the NFC West. And we are starting off with the LA Rams. Guys, we are knocking on the door at 1,700 subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much, man. For real, if you guys want a sports show, click like and subscribe. But the people that have done it, man, I really do appreciate you. And the people that haven't, hopefully I can convince you that they click that like and subscribe button. If you are not familiar with my previews, what we do is we talk about additions and resignings. We talk about departures, the draft pick for the 2021 Rams. We'll go over strengths and weaknesses and what we kind of see from this team moving forward this year and into the future. Okay, so when we look at the Rams in 2020, they finished 10-6. They were solid, but clearly they had a cap on what their ceiling could be, and that was from the quarterback position of Jared Goff. But when we look at additions and re-signings, they go out and get Matthew Stafford. They also get Deshaun Jackson and Leonard Floyd. But the Matt Stafford thing, to just talk about it for a minute, I know it's been talked about a lot, but I think Matt Stafford's big time, and I think Matt Stafford's a lot more talented than I think a lot of people realize. I think a lot of people look at him and be like, "Oh yeah, I know he's good. I know he's got arm talent. I know he's a tough guy." Um, I think in a different universe, if you take Ben Roethlisberger out of the Steelers and you put Matt Stafford there, I think they have a similar stat line. I think they have a similar career. Now, you might not be the biggest fan of Ben Roethlisberger, and that's fine. But by the time his career is over, he's going to be in or really close to the top five in pretty much every quarterback stat. So that's kind of the tier that I put Matt Stafford in, and that's the level I think he can get this team to. When we talk about departures, they lost Jared Goff, Malcolm Brown, Josh Reynolds, Jared Everett, Austin Blythe, Morgan Fox, Michael Brockers, Troy Hill, John Johnson, and Cam Akers is still on the team, but he blew out his Achilles. So I just listed them real quick as far as a departure from this year only. When I look at this, I think, like I said, Matt Stafford over Jared Goff. It's not me hating on Jared Goff. I did a Lions breakdown. I said Jared Goff is a very average quarterback. And I don't mean that a bad way. Like, I think that, they almost won a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. I think he can be like that Trent Dilfer is kind of my go-to when I talk about that average quarterback on a great team. I think he can do that. That's fine. But he's not going, he can lose you games and he's not going to win you very many games by himself. I think Matt Stafford can be, the opposite, man. I think he can carry you in times when you need carried. I think when I look at this, I think, you obviously don't want to lose some of these guys. Like a Brockers kind of hurts. He really helped out of that pass rush. But I think the two big ones that jump off to me, not counting Cam Akers, is Troy Hill and John Johnson, man. They were so underrated on this defense. When we talk about this defense, we talk about Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. But when you look at Troy Hill and John Johnson, they are, two of the best. You look at their PFF grades, they are, very, very talented, elite in their positions, just very under the radar guys. So I think losing them does hurt this team. It's going to be interesting if they can get guys to step up and eat up those snaps that can come close to replicating their production. And maybe they get some other guys to step up in other positions. So it's not as noticeable. When we talk about draft picks, obviously the Rams didn't have a ton of draft capital from over the past few years. They've made big trades. So with their first pick in the draft, they got Tutu Atwell, which is an interesting one. I kind of like it. I'm always a fan of like the small guy, the kind of the weird pick. At first I was like, I'm rooting for Tutu Atwell, but I thought it was a weird pick. I didn't get it. Well, when you think of Sean McVay, you think of a lot of motions and a lot of like those, they run Cooper Cup a lot on those jets. Well, Tutu Atwell's, elite speed, man, elite quickness. He's not going to block like Cooper Cup, obviously, because I think he's like 160 pounds, which is crazy. Like I have eighth graders that are bigger than that. So, I think that it's going to be interesting. He's going to be more of like especially a gadget guy this year. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops physically, like from a body standpoint and as a true receiver. But I like the Tutu Atwell pick. I think it's interesting. They go on and get Ernest Jones, which is a solid pick, explosive lower half. We're talking about a 38.5-inch vertical. Pretty impressive. They get Bobby Brown, which is a little bit of a bigger Michael Brockers. I think he's going to be able to eat some snaps up as a rookie, which, will help as far as a depth issue. And then they get Robert Rochelle, he's raw, man. But this guy is a elite athlete. We're talking 4.4, which is in the 90th percentile. We're talking as far as a vertical, he's in the 96th percentile. Broad jump off the charts. I think this guy is an elite athlete. But as far as the draft goes, it's not great, but it's also not bad for what you got, because I mean, technically, a lot of these picks over the years, you're trading for Jalen Ramsey, you're trading for Matt Stafford. So you live with it, right? As far as team strengths are concerned, I think you look at, they have the two best defensive players in the league, at least at their positions, maybe just the two best defensive players in the league, period. You're not going to stop Aaron Donald. I mean, even if his sack numbers aren't there, I mean, they're always there, but like, even if like he only gets 10 sacks instead of 15 sacks, the pressure this guy puts on. And we know the worst kind of pressure a quarterback faces is interior pressure, man. They hate it. They hate not being able to step up into their throws. And then it's a weaker ball and it lets the corners play, downhill a little bit more, gives them another beat to recover. So Aaron Donald's absolutely going to wreck your day. And Jalen Ramsey takes away half the field. He's a guy who nonstop talks, but he backs it up. I mean, this guy has been locked down for a minute now. I think with those guys, you absolutely love it. They have talent around those guys, but those two guys are the cream of the crop. When we talk about weaknesses, this team is very feast or famine. And what I mean by that is they're so heavy up top, man. You got guys like, a Matt Stafford, and I think Cooper Kupp is, underrated. He's so good. Robert Woods, you have an Aaron Donald, you have a Jalen Ramsey. But they also have a lot of holes and a lot of weaknesses in the areas of, I shouldn't even say weaknesses like those guys are bad, but they have a lot of like average players, because you have to pay to get those guys, and you have to pay not only money, but you have to pay draft capital. So it kind of makes you a little bit weak in other areas. So when I look at this team, can the cream of the crop, those top guys, can the greatness overcome some of the average play of others? And that's going to be interesting, and one of the biggest things, and I mean, it's also kind of blends into my next topic, which is the biggest question marks, is can this team stay healthy, man? If they have a few injuries, one or two even, to key positions, they're not equipped to be deep. You know what I mean? We see some of these teams that are loaded, 4 or 5 deep in a position. But this team's not, you know what I mean? And that's kind of just how they're built. So they are hoping for some injury luck. As far as my actual true biggest question that I had is, for so long, we've seen Matt Stafford rotting away in Detroit. We've seen him play at, high levels on a bad team. We've seen him have nearly no playoff experience. He's been very, very good for a long time now, but now it's kind of put up or shut up. I said earlier how highly I think of Matt Stafford. I had a kid that I interviewed a while back named Miller Moss, and he is playing for USC. And he trains with some elite guys. And he said, I was like, oh, who's the best guy you've ever trained with? He's like, Matt Stafford. Not even like, he trains with guys like Matt Ryan. He's like, Matt Stafford is just incredible. So like, even in person, man, from just a guy who's high level, USC top 50 recruit in the nation, is talking about how highly recruited and how just talented, Matt Stafford is. So it is kind of put up or shut up. Can Stafford elevate this team to that final level? We know how good they are. I mean, that's undoubtable. But can he get them to that final level of winning the Super Bowl? Can him and Sean McVay, gel enough to get that Super Bowl win? It's going to be interesting. As far as record prediction, this is tough because this division is brutal, man. I like when you talk about like the Cardinals, I think are definitely the worst team in this division, but I think they're very, very good. It is absolutely insane. I don't know. Honestly, like I love to gamble, right? I'm not putting any bets on this division just because I don't know. If either 4 of these teams won the division, I wouldn't be that surprised. If any 4 of these teams finished last place, I wouldn't be that surprised. So it's tough. I ended up having the Rams going 11-6. I think they definitely make the playoffs. I think it's going to be really competitive with them and the Niners. I think with the Niners, what's going to push them over the top, over the Rams or below the Rams, is Trey Lance. Whether he's as good as we're hearing in training camp, whether he plays like a rookie, at least the first half of the season, or whether maybe Jimmy G plays and he plays at a high level. Who knows? But I think this division is just so tough, man. There's no freebies. So I'm saying 11-6. I could see them, maybe going 10-7. But I could also see them maybe winning 12, 13 games. It would be really tough to win 12, 13 games. Just like I said, this division's tough. But I do think this is a playoff team. And I do think Matt Stafford is going to pay dividends once they get to the postseason, which brings me to my bold prediction, man. So I'm looking at it and I'm trying to think, I'm like, Aaron Donald could win like his 32nd Defensive Player of the Year award. But I'm going to go with Matt Stafford finishes in the top 3 in MVP votings. I'm going to put some money down. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to put money down that Matt Stafford wins an MVP this season. Do I think it's going to happen necessarily? Probably not. But I think it's going to be close. And maybe a few things shakes out, injury here or there. I think Matt Stafford's going to be in the conversation. So my bold prediction is Matt Stafford finishes in the top 3 as far as MVP voting. That about wraps it up, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop in the comments if you guys, are agreeing with me. If you guys think I'm overlooking somebody, do you think that maybe there's not as many holes in this team as I think? To go along with the elite talent. Just drop in the comments. Let me know. That's why I do this, man. I get comments all the time that says like, "Oh, I absolutely love the show," and I get comments all the time that says, "You're an idiot." That's fine. It is what it is. I enjoy both of them, man. I like to have the conversation. Why am I an idiot? Or why did you really like the show? Or I appreciate you. So it's always fun, man. Drop in the comments. Like I said, guys, please help support the show. It means a ton to me. Click that like, click that subscribe button. And I appreciate you guys so much. Have a good one. Hey guys, thank you so much for sticking around for the entire video. Thank you for supporting the show, clicking that like button, subscribing, comments, all that fun stuff. If you could just take one more second and check out Rep Sports, check out Raise Energy. They are partnered with this podcast. They are help supporting me. So if you go and check them out, it's the best tasting energy drink on the market. 100% guaranteed. They have supplements, protein, pre-workouts, recovery, all that stuff. If you guys check them out and you use promo code SportsMuse when checking out, you get 15% off of your order. And who doesn't like, some money off of their purchase? That's awesome. So definitely check them out. And like I said, it helps support me. It helps support them. So please check them out, guys. And thank you again so much for sticking around.